Okay, in today's environment, what are the top 3 stocks that I'd be buying as a millionaire? One of the big factors that we've got to think through is, first, we need to look at stock purchases, okay, as a long-term investment. We're trying to buy an asset, we're trying to get that asset. So we want to think through, one, personal economic cycles. These things take a long period of time. One of the things for me, I started a business basically in a monopoly tin, okay? That went from making about $40 a week to now making over $2 million a year. Now, that's not a huge amount, but it's good enough to show like it takes a long period of time. That was 15 plus years ago. Second thing, we started a company in 2014. It took me exactly 10 years to exit for multi-million dollars. So we had 2 companies grow over that time frame, but multiple economic cycles have to actually occur. Personal economic cycles. The second part about that is that we want to see global economic cycles roll through. Think about what has happened in those 10 plus years. We're looking at COVID, we're looking at the housing crash, we're looking at issues in tariffs in 2018, tariffs again, what's happening with all the different wars. All of these cycles and things have a big impact, and it takes time, right? So we have to think through that. The next part that I want you to think about is that if you're going to be investing in stocks, if you're going to be investing in different assets, we now have to also financially dot our I's and cross our T's. So that means, first, you got to have at least $10,000 saved. Second, try and get 6 months of your expenses, okay, saved away. Put it into a high yield savings account. Third, when you start to actually save that money, now put it into the appropriate retirement funds that you have. Okay, a Roth IRA or 401k, whatever that might be, especially if your employee or employer is matching that. So you need to make sure those things get dialed in, okay? Then after you start to make sure that your financial stuff is in line for retirement, the next part that you need to do is put money in something simple like an ETF like VU, okay? Put something simple into, put some money into SCHD. Just stick with those two ETFs to start. A lot of people, when they first get into investments and we start to think through, these top 3 stocks that we should be putting money into right now, I'm going to get into those actual stocks specifically, but it takes time. The personal economic cycles take time. Okay, I'm actually standing here where my wife and I are about to purchase $1 million plus cost real estate, 50 plus acres. And one of the big things that we're going to be doing is we're going to be building out a home. We're going to be building out potential side businesses here. It's going to take a long time frame to do this. It's going to take a long period of time. Probably going to have about $4.5 million into this property. It's going to take us 2, 3, 4 years to accomplish that. So it takes time, and you have to have patience. But I know the feeling when you're at an early stage, you start to think about like, oh man, I'm gonna shoot for this $1 stock or this penny stock. I'm gonna shoot for this meme coin because my buddy said that this meme coin's going to the moon. So you start to think through like, well, if I put $1,000 into that and it goes to the moon, then I'm good. I got a bug in my head. Now, my hand's bleeding now. One of the big side things there is that it's not worth it if you just put the money into VU, $1,000 to start off, and then as you get more and more savings, because you watched one of the side hustle videos that I made, and you're recognizing that I can have more income than expenses. When I have more income than expenses, I can put $200 into VU every single month, and now all of a sudden 5 years later, you've got way more money than if you put it into that meme coin or put it into that penny stock. Okay, so we've got to make sure we're dotting the I's of the finances and crossing those T's. And after we're investing with the ETFs and we've got our retirement stuff set up and it's all automated and we have more income than expenses, then we can slowly get into real estate. Okay, if we want to buy a bigger property or, do an investment side hustle, something like that, then we can slowly move from that into stocks. But we've got to make sure we have all these things, these ladders of finances set up so that you build into each specific area before we look at it and say, okay, I got to go all in on freaking SoFi because I watched some guy talk about SoFi and it's going to go to the moon. Okay, those are some really, really key important things. Now, the big factor here that I like to think about, I want to get into the stocks, is that when I'm looking at stocks and what I want to purchase, One, I want to know who's running the company, what's the fundamentals of that company, what's the personality of the leadership, and also what is the industry or the area that they are in, and how is that, possibly going to grow. Okay, so when you start to think about those things, that's like real basic stuff. The easiest thing then is to look at PE ratio and then look at rate of acceleration of their growth. Okay, so an example would be year over year, this company grows 20%, company A grows 20%, then next year they grow 22%, then next year they go 24%. So they're actually accelerating their growth. When you see growth acceleration, you know that there's pretty good leadership. You know that they're in a good industry that's going to take off. You know that they're in areas that are going to be very, very successful long term. It's probably going to be a safe play to go forward with that specific stock. Now, the first stock that I personally look at, and I've actually talked about this in previous videos, is a stock that I think is going to be very, very big. It almost reminds me of Shopify back in the day and even Shopify today. But today is June 17th, June 18th. If we're looking at this and saying, okay, in the future, there's specific platforms, okay, that are going to be performing very, very well. There's a low barrier of entry to these specific platforms. And on these platforms, there's a massive amount of people, okay? Massive amount of people. Okay, so that first stock that I like to think about, if I had 10K, and I've actually been thinking about this, if I started a public account with $10,000 and put it in there and just say, I'm going to do this and follow these stock purchases. And even right now, I've been thinking about this. I'm likely going to buy 2 of these stocks later today. I just bought the other one last week, more of it last week. So the first stock that I would look at, and this is not the best one, I don't believe this is the best, but the first stock that I would be looking at would be Adobe. Okay, and the reason why I would buy Adobe, I think right now it's at like 350, something like that, maybe a little bit higher, is that one, it's a SaaS company, it's subscription, it has a subscription model. They just released a product called Firefly, which is AI generative videos for small creators, people that are on YouTube, people that do stuff on social, people that do things in email marketing, people, even digital marketing firms. And so they're constantly improving the quality of their products, and their products are already the best. Okay, and now the level to get into it. So if I went in and used something like Photoshop or Illustrator or something like that, it's a little bit harder. You have to spend a lot of time acquiring the skill of using those different those different tools. You have to take some time to learn that, and it does hinder the accessibility. But with Firefly and the AI generative content that you can come through with, it's going to be freaking awesome, and the barrier of entry now just plummets. And on top of that, you can look at the platforms that might be using this. Think about Meta, think about YouTube with Google, think about just those 2 alone, and how many people are on those 2 platforms, those big conglomerates. And not even to mention websites and email marketing and stuff like that. There's so much space for this to accelerate quickly. Okay, so I would believe Adobe would be a very, very substantially sustainable purchase today. You put $2,500 into it today, and in 5 years, you're going to be very, very happy with what Adobe's performance is going to be. So that's like the first easy, just dip your feet into the water and see what happens. Now, when it drops, don't lose your mind. When it goes up, don't sell it. Okay, stick in it for a couple economic cycles, please. Next thing, second one. Okay, this would be, and I'm going to save the best for last. This would be, currently, this is my favorite, just because I really, really like the leader. You've seen the leader take the stock from about $2 now up to 127. There's specific parts of AI chips. Okay, and Sam Altman of OpenAI talked about how chips are going more into inference modeling. Okay, and this company just released a chip that operates 3 times faster than all the chips in the world that were being used as of last year. Okay, so they just released that. Now, they see that the market that they're in is going to increase by 60% over the next year, or over the next 2 years to 2028, 3 years. On top of that, in 26, early of 26, they're releasing another chip that is an inference model that will be 10 times faster than the one they just released. So they're on a cadence now of releasing these chips that operate insanely fast. And companies that use their chips are companies like Tesla, Google, Amazon, so Meta. We're looking at these types of companies and seeing like, wow, they're getting into it, and they have open sourcing, and they just acquired another company that does the rack aspect of AI generation. So we're looking at a chip company that's now acquired a company that's into racks. So now we're seeing, hardware, software. They're open source they're open with all their development, and we're seeing the acceleration of this company drastically. And I've talked about them in the past. They're probably my second highest holding right now in my private stock portfolio, and that's going to be AMD. So Lisa Su is their leader. So AMD right now, I believe you could put $5,000 into it. I'm not telling you to do this. This is not financial advice. This is what I would do possibly, is put in that money, and then all of a sudden you're going to see that take off, and you're going to see it grow, and you're going to see it over a long period of time. I'm not saying that this is financial advice. I'm saying that this is something that you can look at and just follow the trends. And I believe that AMD is a slam dunk. Lisa Su's been an absolute baller of a leader. She's crushing it, and it's going to be, those are the first two stocks right there, Adobe and AMD. Now, the third one, I want to bring up a couple big factors here. If we look at Meta, and if we think about how people struggle to understand, they couldn't understand Facebook when Facebook first started. They thought it was going to be the next MySpace, right? They were like, it's just going to go away. Then when they acquired Instagram, I think it was for $1 billion, everybody thought it was stupid. And now they acquired Instagram, think about this, for $1 billion. Last year in 2024, I want to say it was $36.5 billion were spent on ad spend on Instagram. 36.5 billion, and that was up like 17% from the previous year. Right now, I want to say they're trading around 680, 690, something like that. So I know it's one of those harder ones to buy into when you don't have a lot of money. You only see, like in your mind, you only see 3 or 4 shares if you buy some of it. But if you're only seeing that, like, you're still putting it in there, and you're putting it into a company that has a solid leader. They're using things from AMD. They're insanely good at creating this social feeling, this community feeling. And then on top of that, they're continuing to grow. And this is the big factor here, is that then we look at an area that they're just expanding even further. Okay, so what did they spend to acquire WhatsApp? I want to say it was $18 billion. Okay, so they acquire WhatsApp for $18 billion. How many people are on WhatsApp? I want to say 3.5 billion people from the last time I looked. 3.5 billion people. In the United States, we don't comprehend WhatsApp. We don't use it that much. But in other countries, they use it for text messaging. They use it for forming groups. They use it for forming meetups, things like that. Why am I even talking about WhatsApp? Now, Meta, who owns WhatsApp, is now bringing in ads on WhatsApp. Think about that. Think about what that's going to do to their bottom dollar, their bottom line. We are going to see insane acceleration of their growth over the next couple of years. Insane. Because they're going to release this in the next month or two, okay? And no one's picking up on this right now. WhatsApp has a shit ton of people. Now, a lot of people are going to talk about, well, it's lower level markets. There's still a lot of Europe, though, that's on WhatsApp. Okay, so yes, there might be some lower level markets like South America where the ad spend might not be that much higher. But guess what? It's still going to be higher. So when we're looking at these areas and we're understanding the growth, and we saw what Facebook became and is becoming, and the modeling they're using for AI, and how easy AI generative creative content is becoming with Adobe. So that's going to expedite these processes, and the ads are going to get better and better. And then we're going to see that shift over onto WhatsApp. So we're seeing that happening. We're seeing WhatsApp, which was acquired for way more than Instagram, has way more users. I think Instagram's got like 2 billion users, and WhatsApp's got almost double that, right? So 3.5 billion. So think about that with ad spend, and that's Meta's play. It's easy. That's just part of their play. So when we're looking at those 3 areas, right, it doesn't change the way the financial I's and T's have to be laid out. It doesn't change the fact that you've got to be in it for the long haul and you've got to work through these economic cycles. It doesn't change that, what we're thinking about with how we layer out this $4+ million project and all the other properties that we've owned and stuff. It took time to work up that financial ladder and to chip away at everything. So just keep that perspective that it takes a lot of time. And don't buy a meme coin. Please don't do that. Please don't buy a penny stock. Just think about the long term. Make more money than you spend every single month. I hope this helps somebody out there. Peace.